Hopefully the clouds clear up to make this a perfect backdrop to explain to you why top box over the seat might be the best way for you, because it definitely is for me.
This modification worked for me and was done on my own bike in a professional setting. Mod your own bike at your own risk.
Welcome back to Kairyu Rider, where I ride bikes in Japan, so like and subscribe to keep gas in my can. And here we are at Mount Fuji, not too cloudy, but it is about 1 degree Celsius outside, something like 33 degrees Fahrenheit. So if my hands are a little discolored and I'm a little shaky, I'm a little cold. But let's get into why is this a good setting compared to the alternatives. So the first is comparing it to a general top box. I'm using an aluminum top box, which is heavier than plastic. So instead of the weight being out back here, where you do feel it even when it's empty, putting it here, it's above the tire and slightly in front of the tire center, if you can see. It's like having an extremely light passenger. When you say it's a top box, 10 kilos is a pretty heavy top box. But when you say it's a passenger, 10 kilo or 24 pounds is a really light passenger. The next is just a pro of top boxes in general. You can lane filter really easy because it's exactly as skinny as my handlebars. I can still have luggage and I can still travel. Today I'm doing a 12-hour road trip taking the long way to Hamamatsu. I had to start in Tokyo and lane filter, but I also needed this luggage to make that 12-hour trip realistic. And one other thing to say is that since it's so close to where the passenger is, there's no drag. When you have this empty space and then a box, all the wind that comes around you catches on the box, and it comes over you and it catches on the box. So that's more drag. When I put it here versus putting it out back here, which I have done before, I'm noticing almost an entire kilometer per liter in fuel savings, and the performance is significantly better. It is performing almost as if there is nothing here at all. It's obviously not exactly like riding it as a naked bike, but it is definitely way better than having the box out there. As far as comparing it to panniers, I rode across the USA a little while back with aluminum panniers on the side of my Tiger 1050. I rode that bike with just a top box, I rode it with just the panniers, I rode it naked, and I did a combination. And I gotta say, even when the panniers are completely empty, they have a lot more drag than a naked bike or a top box only bike or a top box over the seat kind of bike. So again, compared to panniers, yes, panniers keep your weight lower, but they do create a lot of wind drag that you don't have to worry about with this top box. Another specific benefit to this is, if you can see this pad right here, because of the angle, having the upper pad actually kind of just pokes my back. So this pad right here works as a backrest. So I have a backrest when I just set my cruise and lean back on the Kosokudor. US calls it interstate. And if you are wondering what is this box, I have links to that in my video mods and reviews for this bike, linked up in the corner right up there. So what are some downsides of doing this? Because of course it's not perfect. Anything that adds luggage is going to have some effect on the bike, and not having luggage is going to have an effect on your ride. The negatives are for getting on and off. For some people it's a problem. I can just stick my leg through or climb over it. I'll put up some footage now, but sometimes if you're getting on regularly, you will scuff your boots on the seat or on the box. So if that's a problem for you, then maybe this is not a mod that you want to do. Another option is to be flexible and just kick your leg through. Preferably come from the non-kickstand side, so you can just get over it and push down onto it in case you start to fall. The kickstand catches you, and you can just kind of climb the bike and be careful not to knock it over. If you're not on stable ground, climbing the bike's not a good idea if the kickstand can sink in or slip or whatever. But that's the first negative, getting on and off. I'm used to it. I was used to it within a few days, and the trade-off really is a non-issue for me. Now the other issue is passengers, and that has a bit of a but. So this one is aluminum. You can't mount it straight to the seat. I tried on another bike. It's just way too unstable, way too wiggly, and it does wear out the plastic and it will crack eventually. If you have a smaller top box, like a 30-liter plastic top box, you can actually drill that into the seat itself and you can change it out. So for me, this is bolted on with steel, and we'll get into that in a minute. There's no convenient way to have a passenger. You need to take the whole thing apart if you want to have a passenger. If you mount it to the seat, you can just have a spare seat. So buy a cheap seat and take the cheap seat to drill it up instead of drilling your good seat. Sometimes the cheap seat is the stock seat. That's an option to have passengers, but the way I have done this, no passengers. You've got to be a solo rider, or like me where my wife has her own bike. But as I said, the aluminum box weighs more. You're going to have something stronger, like these steel bits. If I remember correctly, these are 4mm gauge steel, and I'll take the box off now and show you what that all looks like. Unlock this bit. It's that simple. You just pull it off. And there we go. Let's set that on the ground. And here's the plate. So this is the mounting plate. Obviously mine's different than what you're mostly going to get if you're using SW Motec or GV or some other big brand. You're going to have a different mounting system, but the idea is the same. You put the plate here. What I did was, if you can see right in here, I did a small extension steel and a small spacer that I made at work. And I made this one, I bent it here, and I bent it here, and I cut out a shape that mounts it straight to the frame under the seat. And I'll show you that in a second too. You come around to the other side, just as a bit of posterity, you can see I measured it wrong somehow, and even though they were both the same size, they were somehow not the same size, so I had to cut it here and weld in a small piece. Not a beautiful weld, but one of the first welds I ever did. It's been very strong. As far as the weight limit, I've been able to ride around with over 20 kilos in the box. That's not even counting the box, that's not even counting the mounting system. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm not saying you should do any of this. What I am saying is it works well for me. You build at your own risk. Look at the owner's manual for what weight limits you should be attending with this bike. And here I'll give you a quick look under the seat. Turn that. The seat still comes off pretty good with this setup. I'll cover up my personal information there, but you see here where it mounts to the frame, and over there where it mounts to the frame. The seat also slips right back on. Just line it up, press till you hear the click, and there you go. The seat's on and off pretty easy. You can see here where I have scuffed my boots a few times getting on and off. I really don't care. This seat's comfortable enough, but I also have a gel pad I'll be using soon because I'm 3 hours in already. If I have to replace this seat, I have to replace it. It's not the world's greatest seat, though it does look nice. Now again, I'm not recommending this, but let me put the box back on and show you. So you just... So you line it up, push it in place. Having the bike in gear is a very good idea. Because if the bike's not in gear, you would have just pushed it off the kickstand. And again, you don't have that issue on some of the other brands like GV. What I will show you is now that it's back on, you can see here's the mounting points for the standard Tracer 900 GT luggage. That still fits with the box because it opens sideways. So you could theoretically run this and those side panniers. I don't have them. I haven't tried it. And again, look at your owner's manual for weight limits of the bike with luggage. From what I understand, and again, check this, don't take my word for it, when they say the weight limit of only panniers or only a top box, that's including a passenger. So since this is replacing your passenger, even if your passenger is a small kid who's 30 kilo, this is less than your kid. Should it work? I think so. Check for yourself. And you can again change this to any plastic ones. I almost got the Shad 45 to 58 liter extendable box. It weighs less, it's more aerodynamic. It comes in at a similar price actually to this knockoff one, but aluminum boxes, I think they're kind of cool. And this one aesthetically fits the bike very well. So I'm happy with it, but I hope this is just an idea, and I hope some of you found this helpful, and I hope you enjoyed my backdrop as the cloud slowly rolls away and a new one rolls in. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my playlist if you want to see stuff on bikes, mods like this, or Japan. But till then, I'll just say, this has been Kairyu Rider.